Conference is the Secretary General of Jubilee Party, the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni. He's now in the studio. Good morning.
Morning. My apologies for stepping in late.
No, that's perfectly
I
all right.
missed this bypass turning.
And you've been here so many times.
I know.
What happened this morning?
Somebody was on the phone. It's good to confess.
Yes. Karibu sana.
Yeah, asante sana, poleni.
You're right. It's good to see you.
Asante.
Yeah. So, Limuru 3.
Yes.
We saw bits and bits of it, and there are those who are watching it live, and what was being discussed. Let's start from before the Limuru 3 conference.
Yes.
What was it all about?
Well, I want to thank you once again because I remember I was here before the meeting and we discussed about it a bit. We wanted people to come and say what they think, what they are feeling, how they think they are being managed by the KKK group. And
There are two Ks. There are not three. There are two. KK.
The three Ks.
Oh,
That's all right. Yeah, the three Ks were an infamous group found in South of America.
Excuse me because that's where I come from.
Yes.
So if you hear me say it again, it is still the same thing. But I mean the KK, the people in power today. We wanted the Kenyans from Allowed the Mountain to come and express their feelings. Remember, there was quite some heavy organization before the 2022, and people had been made to believe that there is nothing good that can come from elsewhere other than from this grouping. And this was the first political organization outside the KK since 2022 within that region. So the starting point was a couple of things that we wanted to do. One is that we wanted to see Kenyans themselves coming to speak from that region because for the last almost maybe more than 1.5 years, you would not have said anything against these guys on the ground. You'll be heckled because they will always organize people to heckle you. And it required some time for people to see that it was not us blocking them from delivering. It was just what we had said from the beginning, that it's a group of people who have no idea, clueless, ladderless, planless, hawana form. And people themselves have come to realize. So we now wanted to hear people themselves saying it so that we can now move to the next level. We also wanted them to come to bring themselves to Limuru, as opposed to there before, where facilitation has been provided for them, in the form of money for them to cover their cost of travel and even attempting to fight to accommodation, attempting to give them some money to eat. This time loud, it was just a question, come. If you are, kama umesikia uchungu, kuja.
Facilitate yourself.
Ukiwa mgonjwa, augojei mtu akulipe ndio uende hospitali. Unaenda kutafuta hospitali kwa sababu ya ile uchungu kuna nayo. And we told people from the counties, said names of people you think would want to come and are members of all the parties that have come together. And names kept coming. We sent invitation to 4,200 people. Direct invitation. And in the invite was Karibu Limuru 3, and we want to thank you for your self-sponsorship. So everybody came clear in mind that you are not coming to collect money, there is nothing expected. That was a major.
How many people came?
We had over 5,000 people.
So more than you had invited?
More than we had invited. And so that was one thing that we were happy about. And when we were there, again, we were told that there is a 93-year-old mzee who has been in police custody for the last almost now 3 weeks. It was going to be 3 weeks this week. And the reason why he was put in is because he is accused of having forged a title. 93-year-old mzee accused of forgery. And what has he done? He has forged the signature of William Ruto, and now he's taken over the RAD that belongs to William Ruto. The RAD is 1,500 acres, 2,500 acres. And this mzee has come, and we have seen this document ourselves. He's come with a title that was given to them back in 1974. And this is now the infamous Dafivi farm.
The one in
Dafivi farm, the one in Naivasha.
Naivasha.
So this Mzee has been in custody. He was picked the other day and told you, oh, you have forged. When they realized that there was a lady, by the way, there was a lady at the house, and the file was completely removed and all the records were removed. But little did they know that another set of original copies of all documents were with these old people, and they had been given a long time ago. So when they realized that, they broke into their houses in Naivasha, and these are issues reported to the police. They ransacked the houses. They were trying to look for those documents, but again, there's something he knows that you do not know. So there was nothing in those houses. And the documents are safely somewhere else. And I can confirm to you that I've seen the documents. The original title was given to them in 1971. Now what they have done is to pick this Mzee and put him in for those time. And what was telling was, when we told the story to the congregation or to those who had assembled the conference, they were screaming, what? M-Pesa number. I had not heard. I couldn't tell what they were saying. It took a while for me to decipher what they were saying. But when I realized, I said, so we gave the number of the lady who has been at the front of this MCA Jane of Maera Ward. And I tell you, within some 2-3 minutes, 103,600 shillings had been laced. We were in need of 40,000.
40,000 as cash bail.
Yes, because 60 had already been laced by the locals.
Right.
So they came on their own account. They came and ate. They accommodated themselves. They even went ahead and fundraised. That is not what has been done. That is completely the opposite of what KK does. They come with sacks of money and they hire goons if you come near their whatever, all those things. So that was major achievement, number one. Number two is that then 2 nights before, and then Ichung'wa has been on record saying, hiyo haitafanyika Kenya hii. There was heavy mobilization to try and disrupt the meeting. And again, it's nothing like allegation where the allegations is there. We sent pictures of matatus that were lined up somewhere at Roysabu, very many of them in the evening, and their work was to go and collect young people to come and disrupt the meeting. We want to again thank our young people, the ones they have called Mogeki, Walevi, and the rest. They were in their proper senses. They organized themselves throughout the night. I didn't sleep the night before the meeting. And they said, mutu yoyote ambaye anafikiri, in fact I use the language they were using, ambaye anafikiri alitairi ajaribu kukaribia mkutano. So we had a few ferrars who came to the gate with pangas concealed, but again the system was clear, was thorough, and they were told to look for a shamba somewhere there and look for kibarua ya kufieka nyasi pande hiyo. Na hiyo panga yao. So that was another major achievement, because most of those young people, they took the money, but they never actually agreed to board the matatus. So it's not that it was stopped. They took the money uko nje, and they never agreed to come for those things. And one of the things, they had been organized, you can go to Githurai and check this, it was a fact. The member of parliaments around those areas, including where the shooting happened again the following day at Thika, had been told that kujeni kuna chakula. We have chakula hii ya kuokota hii ya kupatiana wanapatiana. And they were trying to isolate the young men and the old people so that they could give a belief to the young people of what to do at Limuru. And it didn't work. And I really thank the people around there for all that happened that day.
Okay, let's take a break at 26 minutes to 9. The Honorable Jeremiah Kioni is the Secretary General of Jubilee. He was one of the key organizers of Limuru 3. We are looking at Limuru 3, what happened. The session continues with Jeremiah Kioni, the Secretary General of Jubilee. So, any interpretation of that proverb? Has it anything come to mind?
Not yet. I think I heard the one that was given by Kimathi, Dead and Kimathi. I would rather die on my feet than on my knees. Yes, which is, I think, is quite the opposite. And that is what that's the philosophy or the principle we have now employed in dealing with our Limuru issues and Mount Kenya issues. And you know the Mount Kenya issues are not isolated to Mount Kenya. No, when you talk about taxes, it hits everybody. When you talk about the cost of living, it is again affecting everybody. When you talk about the mismanagement of the floods, it is again everybody.
Yeah.
So it is not that, it's only that when you look for votes, you look for votes from a given area. And you say that you are going to represent them. It's the organizing. These are the electoral units, and they are not there for anything else. It's for purposes of organizing so that your issues can come to the table.
Okay.
So I have heard a few people saying, oh, this is tribal, whatever. I don't think it is a useful debate. I'll leave it to the historian. But I think it is important to know that we are heading to Meru, Embu, Nyeri in the immediate, and from today we'll be sitting to organize meetings in those areas. Yes.
There are those who have pushed back and said, look, the Mount Kenya region is complaining about issues that are affecting the country right now.
Yes.
But the Mount Kenya region actually has half of government. Very, very influential leaders. You've got cabinet secretaries, you've got the deputy president, you've got the attorney general, you've got the leadership of the National Assembly, you've got the leadership in the Senate as well. You have all these people who are seriously influential and who could be influencing things to support the country.
I hope none of them is in leadership.
One of them is actually in leadership.
And
this
has
is
been in leadership before. Or aspires to become a leader to this nation.
Why would you say that?
That is the myopic the way of thinking that we've been fighting against. That was why one of the reasons why there was clamor for multi-party democracy, second liberation. And it was to move ourselves from that parochial thinking that because you have one of your own in power, then unit helps you. That kind of thinking is not the correct thing. And it does not matter. For as long as the regime that is power is not answering to your desires, you have to raise up and you've got to raise your voice and say many things, or say the things that you are not happy about. Remember, even during Uhuru's time, Uhuru was from Mount Kenya, Ruto was able to go around the mountain and tell them, nyinyi, hakuna kazi inaendelea, there are no projects, nothing is being done, and it is time that mwambie Uhuru, Mariza Wende. So when you now turn around and say that you need your own on top for you to manage things, I think it is the wrong thing. What we are saying is that our children are not going to school. We have inadequate medical attention in our areas. We cannot see projects that are equivalent to the 4.6 billion shillings that has been borrowed in the last 10 years. We have seen disaster in the floods. You've seen the landslides. We still have people buried today, and they have not been this regime. They have not been able to recover the bodies because they themselves are a disaster. And I have said before, I also should not expect a disaster to declare another disaster a disaster. That is why we never declare the floods a disaster. And these are the things we are going to say, and we will say them irrespective of who is at the helm. We will say it irrespective of who is at Treasury. When we say
so
that
who
we
are you
need,
directing
we need,
these concerns
we
to?
need we need equity in the sharing of resources in this country, and we are talking of the mantra of one man, one vote, one sharing. And one man is not one man from Mount Kenya. It is one Kenyan. It's everybody must get a sharing when another is getting a sharing, and we all vote equally.
You know, what you say makes sense, but is it the reality that the Mwananchi believes? Are you saying the Mwananchi believes that if their own, and meaning somebody who speaks their language, who comes from their region, is in power, they should not benefit? Is this not what people believe? Or are you saying this is the thinking you want to remove people from?
I will not be spending time trying to remove their thinking from there, because remember, this started back in 1982, not 82, even 82 when the coup was being done, by the way. And we had the likes of now Raila Odinga and others, Paul Mwite, Manyara, Koigu Amwere, Muge, Okuru, all these individuals, they were fighting against that same principle, which was perfectly and well employed by Moi. But you can still see people thinking that once you have one of your own in office, you are better off than a person who is there. And again, it's there for people to see. I have been telling people from my region to just start moving around. Pana amka asubuhi, unaingia kwa baiskeli, unaenda kwa hiyo shopping center, alafu jioni unarudi kwa nyumba. You will not know what is happening. take a flight to Kisumu. Take a flight to Kisumu. And when you approach Kisumu, ensure that you are not asleep. Have a look at how Kisumu is. They have never been in power. Kisumu is one of the most developed towns in this country. It's better than Mombasa. If you want to take a quiet holiday, fly to Kisumu. Some of the best quiet hotels are now in Kisumu. They have not been in power. They have been in opposition since 1961. What time was 63? So, I mean, it's very naive. Look at Nyeri. Nyeri is still having hiyo mabati, nyumba zilijengwa na zile mabati ya drum. If you look at that, it's terrible. Go to Kiabu. In Mount Kenya, by the way, the only town that is looking like modernization is Meru. It's actually the best town in Mount Kenya region. Meru has overtaken Nanyuki and all the other towns. So I'm trying to tell Kenyans that it is not you are being in power. It is you are being able to talk on behalf of your people and push and get the things done. Mm-hmm. So this issue of thinking that since you are in the Kenya Revenue Authority and those things you are supposed to benefit is really very. And I'm not going to spend my time doing that. We now know better. What we do not want done to our legion is to be denied our ability to organize politically. Is to be denied an opportunity to organize ourselves culturally. Because those are two areas that were hit very hard by this KKK regime. And they started by killing our political parties, by making sure that even you declare people from other regions you are kingpin. You completely distort the thinking or the lives of people. They have come and again now are saying even Gema, A stood for Kamba. All these distortions are very dangerous to a community. And there are things we would want to have them right culturally. Because those are two areas that were hit very hard by this KKK regime. And they started by killing our political parties, by making sure that even you declare people from other regions you are kingpin. You completely distort the thinking or the lives of people. They have come and again now are saying even Gema, A stood for Kamba. All these distortions are very dangerous to a community. And there are things we would want to have them right. When they now arrest our 82-year-olds and call them Mogeki, and they were doing their cultural player at the end of the last year, and they keep them in police custody for a month, you intimidate, you put fear in people. And this is one of the things. They come and attack your cultural grouping. We have this KC, Kiama, GC, Gema. They bring in splinter groups. They splinter them. They pick one guy and he starts talking like he knows everything or anything, and he is on their payroll. So this is the thing these are the things we must push back. When they get your community in a state where nobody can call others, everybody is a boss. And it is for purposes of disorganizing you, for purposes of colonizing you after the Mzungus. Those are the things we need to make sure that we have a pushback. And also, once we are able to push, I am sure we'll get better development attention than we are getting now.
So when you said that when people were...
And you can actually see, after the Limuru, the people who were really against the Limuru have already gotten oxygen. You saw what was happening at the Russia Catholic Church. Uda Ferras literally talking to Ruto and telling him, calling him bluff. They called him, they used very tough words on him. That only happened because there was a Limuru. They didn't have the spine at all. They were just spineless.
To speak out.
Completely. And we are happy that they can speak out.
At the root core of this, and this is what you started by saying, is that there's some disquiet with the population on what they feel is the expectations of their government versus the reality of what they see with government. And if then you look back in the last regime, it could be argued it's the same kind of thing, that when William Ruto, the deputy president, then was even campaigning in Mount Kenya, he was picking on the issues that were impacting Kenyans that were not being addressed, they felt were not being addressed by their leaders. So the common problem here, the common thread here is leadership. Whether it's Jubilee leadership under Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, whether it's Kenya Kwanza leadership with William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, it's a leadership issue. And the citizens who are feeling that their government is not addressing them. Were those issues canvassed, and how do those issues get addressed? Because clearly, it's the leaders that they have in office, whether you're starting from the leadership of the National Assembly or